Dragon. Sword fight, fist fight. Bullshit. And that's just episode 6. Yo, what's good everybody? We're back. And before we get into anything, I need to address the elephant in the room. You press play on episode 6 and these are completely different people. New actresses for Rhaenyra and Alicent. 10 years have passed and the show just drops you right into it. Zero warning. Alright, let's get into it. We open up on Rhaenyra giving birth and it's intense. She's on her 3rd kid at this point and the whole room is chaotic energy. Baby comes out healthy. It's a boy. And before Rhaenyra even gets a second to breathe, a servant walks in telling her that the queen wants to see the baby. Right now. This child is literally 1 minute old. Alicent sent for this baby before this woman can even have a chance to sit up. So what does Rhaenyra do? She gets up, still in pain, and walks the entire Red Keep to bring her newborn to Alicent herself because she's not letting that baby out of her sight for a second. Laenor ends up walking with her. The walk is clearly painful and Laenor is just kind of there, you know what I mean? They get to Alicent's chambers, the king shows up to meet his new grandson, and everything looks like a nice family moment on the surface. Then Laenor names the baby, Joffrey, just announces it, without telling Rhaenyra a single thing. And you remember that name? Joffrey was Laenor's lover, the man that Cole beat to death on the dance floor of their wedding. So naming the kid after his dead boyfriend is both disrespectful as hell and low-key layered at the same time, because they both know that the kid isn't Laenor's anyway. Rhaenyra's face when he says the name is everything. Then Alicent takes a good look at that white baby. You know, the baby whose father's supposed to be half black with white hair, and tell Laenor straight to his face that maybe one day he'll have a child that looks more like him. She's ice cold with that one. She didn't even raise her voice. Now here's the thing, none of Rhaenyra's 3 kids look anything like Laenor. Not one of them. Jace and Luke look full white with dark hair. Laenor is half black with Valyrian long hair. The math is not mathing and everyone in the castle can see it. The king absolutely knows, he just refuses to acknowledge it because he would rather be in denial of the entire situation. 10 full years and he's in denial. Viserys would rather lose another limb than deal with any of this shit. And speaking of limbs, the king is looking rough. That arm that was rotting off last episode, gone. They took the whole thing off. Viserys is falling apart. Who knows how long he has left. We meet with Rhaenyra's older boys properly now, Jace and Luke. They picked out a dragon egg for the new baby, which is sweet. And they're hanging out with a man that looks a whole lot more like them than Laenor does. Larys Strong, break bones. He's the commander of the city watch and is low-key actually the father of those 3 kids. Everyone in the room knows it, except for the kids themselves. The way Harwin looks at these boys tells you everything you need to know without a single word. Over to the dragon pit, we get Alicent's kids, all grown up. Aegon and Aemond. Jace is out here on his how to train your dragon shit, and he got his own dragon, just kind of vibing. But Aemond, no dragon. As a Targaryen growing up with everyone around you having a dragon and you not having one would kind of fuck with your head, and Aemond is clearly not dealing with it well. So naturally, Aegon and the other kids decide to fuck with him. They dress up a pig, calling it the Pink Dread, a play on Balerion the Black Dread, and they bring it to Aemond as his dragon. And Aemond is genuinely shaken after this moment. But hey, peep what's happening. Man never forgets. Write that down. But Aemond, he doesn't just cry about it. He goes deeper into the dragon pit, alone. Almost gets his ass killed in there. The dragon tamers in this show are built different, by the way. Those guys are rough as hell for what they do. But that moment in the pit tells you everything who Aemond is gonna be. The drive is there, the madness is there. He wants a dragon more than anything in this world, and he does not care what the cost is. Comes back and we get introduced to one of the most underrated characters in the whole show, Helaena, Alicent's daughter. And you need to pay attention to every single word this girl says, because Targaryens come in 2 forms, dragon riders and dreamers. Their dreams are basically glimpses to the future or past. Helaena is a dreamer. Pretty much everything she says is prophecy. Aemond tells his mom that he almost died in the dragon pit, and Alicent says he'll have his dragon. Helaena just whispers, he has to close an eye. And right back to what she's doing, casual as hell, just file that away. Everything she says could be a breakdown video on its own. Alicent pulls the king aside and tries, again, to have him acknowledge what everyone can see about Rhaenyra's kids. And the king again refuses and makes up some nonsense analogy about dragon seas to justify his daughter's bullshit. And Alicent is sitting there like, bro, do you actually hear yourself right now? The king is fully committed to his denial and there's nothing anyone can do about it. So Alicent goes to Cole instead, her guy, and just vents about how Rhaenyra keeps getting away with everything. And Cole, who's been waiting like 10 years for this conversation, is pretty much like, fuck Rhaenyra. Full locked in on the green side, no hesitation. Oh, and real quick, we watch Aegon do something nasty shit by the window where literally everyone walking can see him. This kid he's different. Alicent confronts him about the pig prank and he immediately tries to deny it and says it wasn't his idea. It was definitely his idea. And he makes it clear that he doesn't really fuck with his brother. But Alicent levels with him. She tells him straight, when Rhaenyra becomes queen, you and your brother and your sister are all marked. Every single one of her kids is a threat to Rhaenyra's line. So the moment she takes the throne, who knows what'll happen. So whether Aegon wants to be king or not, it doesn't matter. He has to be. And Aegon just sits there not really giving a shit about any of it. This kid does not care. He's gonna be a massive problem going forward. We cut to Pentos and we finally get some big dragons on the screen. Laena has grown up and she's pulling up with the biggest dragon alive, Vhagar. Laena is Daemon's wife now and they have 2 daughters together, Baela and Rhaena, and she's pregnant with their 3rd child. Some lord is trying to broker a deal with Daemon. Bring your family and your dragons, help us deal with the Triarchy, and I'll give you lordship over Pentos. Laena doesn't want all of that. She just wants to go back to Driftmark, but we know Daemon. Laena even brings up Rhaenyra just had another kid and they can tell from the description alone that none of those kids are Laenor's. But everybody knows, literally everybody. Back to King's Landing, we get a training session in the courtyard, and this is where shit starts to heat up. Cole is supposed to be training all the kids, but because he can't stand Rhaenyra, he's dedicating all of his time into training Aegon and Aemond, and he's pretty much ignoring Jace and Luke. He then forces Jace to spar with Aegon. Aegon embarrasses him at first, but Jace is no pussy, and he gets on his head top. Cole steps in and coaches Aegon throughout it, and Aegon ends up winning the spar. Harwin is watching the whole thing, and steps in to tell Cole to train all the boys equally. Cole claps back, and in front of everyone, the king, the whole yard, Larys Strong, Cole straight up implies out loud that Jace and Luke are Harwin's sons. He just pulls it out with a smirk on his face, and Harwin, who's been holding this secret for 10 years, completely loses it. He grabs Cole and beats the shit out of him, right there, in the training yard, gets dragged off by the King's Guard, and Cole just lays there and laughs because he got exactly what he wanted. Harwin just confirmed every rumor in the whole castle with his own hands. Lionel pulls the son aside after and goes off on him. He knows what this means. He knows the only reason Harwin still has his head is because Viserys refused to see what's right in front of him. He tells him straight, this is gonna get you killed. And Lionel goes straight to the king to resign his hand, says he can no longer serve impartially. The king asks Lionel the reason, but he already knows. Alicent is right there pushing for it too because if Lionel steps down, that's her dad's seat back. But Viserys refuses his resignation. Instead, he lets Lionel escort Harwin to Harrenhal. Alicent is visibly upset. She wanted that hand of the king position. Meanwhile, Laena is out there living his best life, and Rhaenyra is miserable. She pulls him aside and tells him everything that's been going on. Cole, the rumors, all of it. She wants him to take this more seriously. But Laenor has played his part for 10 years, and he feels like he played it well. He's been enjoying himself the whole time, and he doesn't really want to change that. Rhaenyra basically commands him to stay present. Make it make sense. Small council meeting is tense as hell. Rhaenyra tries to extend the olive branch and proposes Jace marry Helaena, combining the 2 families, and she even offers a dragon egg for Aemond since he doesn't have one. Alicent smiles and says she'll think about it. She's not gonna think about it. She goes straight to the king and says no. Viserys, of course, thinks it's a great idea. He pushes for it. Alicent is not hearing any of it, and honestly, she's offended that Rhaenyra even thinks that a marriage proposal will fix what's broken between the 2 of them. So Alicent goes to Larys, tells him his dad wanted to resign, but Viserys would not allow it. They have one of those conversations that sound normal on the surface, but there's a whole other thing happening underneath. Alicent is just venting, feeling like no one's on her side, and Larys absorbs every single word. That night, he goes to a group of prisoners sentenced to death, makes them an offer. Freedom in exchange for one job. He cuts out every single one of their tongues. No witnesses, no confessions, nothing. Back in Pentos, Laena goes into labor with the third baby, and it goes wrong fast. She's not gonna survive the birth. Much like Rhaenyra's mother in episode 1, the choice is to save the baby or save the mother. Laena doesn't wait for anyone to make the decision for her. She gets up out of bed, stumbles outside, walks straight up to Vhagar, the biggest dragon in the realm, and starts commanding it. Dracarys. The dragon hesitates, stares at her. This moment's genuinely devastating. Vhagar knows exactly what's being asked to do, and then it does it. Laena chooses how she was going out on her own terms. No one's making that call for her. Daemon watches the whole thing, and this is the most emotion we ever seen from this man. Their girls Baela and Rhaena just lost their mother. Harwin says his goodbyes before heading to Harrenhal with his father. Says goodbye to Rhaenyra, says goodbye to the boys, and Jace, smart as hell for his age, pulls his mom aside and just asks flat out, "Is Harwin Strong my father? Am I a bastard?" And Rhaenyra looks at her son and says, "You're a Targaryen. That's all that matters." She didn't say no, didn't deny it, just redirected. And Jace is smart enough to know exactly what that means. After that, Rhaenyra makes the decision she probably should have made years ago. She ends up taking her kids and leaving King's Landing. They're going to Dragonstone. Without Harwin, she and her kids are no longer safe, and she knows it. Laenor agrees to go with her to keep up the front, and just like that, she's gone. Honestly, the fact that she waited 10 years to do this is a wild choice, but here we are. And then we get to the ending. Harwin and Lionel arrive to Harrenhal, and that night, the castle catches fire. Harwin tries to get his father, gets crushed by burning rubble. Lionel doesn't make it out either. Both of them gone. And those tongueless prisoners Clubfoot employed, they were absolutely the ones who started it. This man just really murdered his own father, his own brother, burned them alive in their own castle, and then walked up to Alicent and told her what he did. Says he handled the problem, and Alicent is horrified. She didn't ask for this. She was just venting to the man, and he committed double murder. And now she's stuck. She's complicit whether she meant to be or not. Clubfoot has her in a net. And with Lionel gone, Otto's about to walk right back through that door as hand as the king. Everything Clubfoot just did benefited him perfectly. Man is the most dangerous person in the whole show, and no one's taking him seriously. Yet. That's episode 6. We lost Helaena, we lost Harwin, we lost Lionel. Larys is moving like a sick individual. Drop your thoughts, comments, smash the like. I'll catch y'all on episode 7.